Steve. What's your injury situation looking like?
We have none. The only one really is Powley. Milo's trained all week. He's put himself in contention and will join the squad. So with a couple of games to go at least, then we've got everybody fit.
What's the latest with Nick Powell?
Well, it's still ongoing, unfortunately. He's got a thigh injury, which is obviously we've had a bit of a brick wall with the truth being on. We thought he was close a couple of weeks ago, and then he had a setback with it. So it's really ongoing, and it's still in the hands of the physio. So he'll be touch and go whether he's going to be ready for Tuesday. I wouldn't have thought so. And then we'll see what he is after that.
Does your team pick itself this week?
It's fair to say it won't be far from the one that played so well last week. And always in my mind was, of course, you had a team. I think over the last 5-6 games since we've been in the playoffs, I thought about a little bit of rotation, and certainly physically wise last week, it was the best physical stats we've put together over the season. So hopefully that'll stand us in good stead. But then again, the playoffs, in my experience with them, they're always a bit of a lottery. Great games to be involved in. Should be a cracking game tomorrow, so we'll look forward to it.
How are we feeling then about your team's prospects?
Oh, I've got a chance. I'm sure, the 4 teams going into it will all fancy their chances. We have lost twice to Derby, so in that respect, they've got one over on us. But the game tomorrow will be, I would have thought, no reflection on what happened 2 months ago or whatever it was. But they've got some good players. They've invested well. They're a big club with huge ambitions as well. So all to play for.
So then, who are the favourites?
Who are the favourites? Well, you'd have to say of the 2 legs we've played against them in the league, they've beat us 6-0. So you'd probably say they're the favourites. However, I don't think there is a clear favourite. The one thing that you have seen over the years is the unpredictability of the playoffs. They've been, for me, a great introduction. What have they been in, 20 years now or something? They've been fabulous for the excitement. It keeps the season alive for 6 teams. So, and my experience of it is it's a great 2-3 games. If you can get through to the final, then of course a trip to Wembley is always everybody's cup of tea.
Will it be an adventurous or a cautious approach from your side?
Well, I think you've got to go on. It's very difficult for your team to say, well, we need to go and play for a draw. So we'll go and try and win. It's as simple as that, It's over 2 legs. We'll go and play a normal game. We'll go and try and get to victory because, in big games against big teams, then, if you can get an advantage to start with, it would be great.
Yeah. And what sort of game are you expecting?
Tough, nervous, edgy, There's usually goals in the playoffs. As I said, they're a great spectacle, and it'll be a great occasion and a great atmosphere tomorrow. And I'm sure it'll be exactly the same on Tuesday night. So, one to look forward to. They're great games to be involved in, and usually exciting games, Lynn. And that's what we're all in football for, to playing big games and be involved in big occasions. And there's none bigger than the playoffs, because the prize at the end of it, we know, is huge.
Well, what's the mood in your squad then, with such a big prize?
Well, I know I've got big players who've played on the big stage and the big occasion. I'm really hoping that will stand them in good stead. They've been and played at big stadiums, as I've said, and played in big games. We've got a lot of Premier League experience in the starting 11 tomorrow. 7 or 8 of them have all played in the Premier League. 5 or 6 of them have played in cup finals. So they're used to the big occasion, and I'm hoping that experience will certainly give us the advantage which everybody's looking for.
You said that this season has been the most difficult, I think, in your management. How would you view the achievement of promotion then personally this season?
Well, I'm not really. We're looking just to get through past Derby first, but in terms of achievements, then if you do it, then it'll rank up there, because as we've seen, when a club gets relegated, then there's the misery of it, there's the fallout of it, there's the new building of the squad with it. You know, you have to go to work late. You know, we didn't do anything. You know, some supporters were thinking we're going to get relegated again at the start of the season because we hadn't done anything in the transfer market, because we had to balance the books to start with. We had to let players go before we brought anybody else in. And that's normal when you're relegated. So it's been difficult to get people and everybody out of the mindset of doom and gloom. And that's been lingering with us really for the best part of 12 months, which I can understand. So we're disappointed that we didn't make the top two, but then again, we're not given right. And given the teams of the amount of points that the three teams above us finished with, you have to only congratulate them. However, we're in the playoffs. You know, it's the third best, highest the club's ever been, I think, in this division. So we'll look forward to the challenge of the playoffs. As I said, we've got big players who performed very, very well last week. So let's hope we can perform to the level which we know we're capable. And if we do that, then we've got an outstanding chance.
Have recent results allowed your players to park that disappointment about being in the playoffs, not going?
I think we've been able to get used to it. We've been able to get used to it. It was probably, we had to deal with it a month ago. I think we realised that if we're going to go up, we'll have to go through the playoffs. So again, getting over the disappointment of that, because it is a disappointment. And I've seen Chris Hughton yesterday talk about, you know, Brighton and their disappointment was only a week ago. So, you know, you have to overcome that and get ready for them. Whereas Sheffield Wednesday have bounced into it a little bit, where they're delighted to be there. And that just shows you, you know, a big club like that, huge big club, it's the first time they've been at the top end of the table really in years. So they're going to be a threat.